Are you feeling tired all the time? Salt, sugar cravings, irritable, maybe brain fog? Do you have adrenal fatigue? In this episode, we're going to find out what actually is adrenal fatigue, what's the bigger picture, and how you can support yourself if you're feeling exhausted, maybe wired or tired, or any of the other things that I just mentioned. Let's check it out. Welcome to the Enhance Your Health podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Green, and you can join us each week where you will learn practical ways to enhance your overall health, physical and mental, along with special guest episodes from experts around the world. New episodes out each week on Mondays at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for tips and action steps so that you can become the master of your health and life. And remember, this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. You should always check with a healthcare professional before trying any new health protocol. It's time to enhance your health. Hey, what's up, everybody? Dr. Michelle Green here with the Enhance Your Health podcast. Today we are talking about adrenal fatigue. What is adrenal fatigue? You may have heard of this term. If you're feeling tired all the time or having salt, sugar cravings, we'll explain what that picture looks like even more. That's what we're going to talk about today, what it really is and how you can support your body if you're noticing these things. Let's start off with our quote of the week. So this week's quote is by Hans Selye. He's known as the father of stress because he revolutionized how we look at stress, and he spent most of his life doing research, dedicating his life to researching stress and how it affects the body. So the quote reads, "It's not stress that kills us, it is our reaction to it." So stress has a lot to do with what we're talking about today, and let's get started. So what are adrenal glands? Adrenal glands are these little glands that live at the top of your kidneys. You have one on each side, and the adrenals do so much to support our body. They help to regulate stress. They release different hormones, including our sex hormones, and it really plays a key role in our fight or flight system of our body. So there's this term that gets thrown around a lot. It's called adrenal fatigue. And adrenal fatigue is kind of a blanket statement for a number of different things that someone could be experiencing. Like if you have salt or sugar cravings, or if you're tired all the time, maybe coffee or stimulants don't even help, but you feel like you need to keep consuming those stimulants, such as coffee or several cups of coffee every single day. Or maybe you could be tired or you could be wired, just totally wired, not able to sleep at night, inability to handle stress, maybe some irritability, and you just feel worn out and exhausted. You might have mental fog or immune function problems. You might get sick all the time. All of these things kind of fall under that umbrella blanket term of adrenal fatigue that you might have heard different practitioners, different people talk about. Your adrenals are always working. If they weren't working, we could not survive. The adrenals are very important for our life and for sustaining life. So we need our adrenals. So it's not that your adrenals just stop working. It's that for some reason, something is affecting the adrenals so that they aren't working the way that they should or producing the hormones when they should. There's something dysfunctional with them. I remember being in chiropractic school, total adrenal fatigue. You could call it adrenal fatigue, where I was just tired all the time because I was up studying all the time, probably only getting a few hours of sleep a night. Definitely not healthy. My sleep was off. My nutrition was off. I was just focused, laser focused on my education. And when there's big tests like board exams and things like that, I would definitely go into adrenal fatigue, caffeine and not sleeping. And as soon as my finals or my exam was over, I would just crash and I would get sick. I would not get sick during the time that I was totally stressed out. I wouldn't crash during that time, but as soon as it was over and my body knew that I could let down or let go, I just totally crashed. And that's what happens with stress is we go until we can't go any longer and our body just goes into kind of this crash state. And this definitely affects our adrenals and how they're functioning, because you go, 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 go. Your adrenals are producing so much adrenaline, cortisol, stress hormone, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, you can relax, and your body then just needs to rest. So it's kind of a protective mechanism when it does that. Now, to look at the adrenals, you can't just look at the adrenals by themselves. You have to know that the adrenals don't do anything unless it's told to by other glands, specifically the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland. So what happens is there's something called the HPA axis. H is the hypothalamus, P the pituitary, and then A the adrenals. So what happens is when stress affects our body, it gives signals to the hypothalamus saying, hey, we are under a lot of stress. Hypothalamus then sends signals to the pituitary saying the same thing, hey, we're under a lot of stress, which then tells the adrenals, we're under a lot of stress, produce these hormones so that it has a greater effect on the rest of the body. And that effect is that basically is a fight or flight response. Historically, the fight or flight response is really important because the fight or flight response allows us to get out of a dangerous situation quickly. Like if an animal is chasing after us, we want all the blood to go to our muscles so that we can run away. That will save our lives, and that's a protective mechanism, a survival mechanism that our body can have to help us survive. So what happens is whether you are being chased by a lion or in a dangerous situation, a physically dangerous situation, or you are in a situation that's more of a social situation, which more nowadays it's more of that. It's like maybe you wake up in the morning, you wake up late, so you have to rush out of your house. Then you are driving to your work and you get cut off on the freeway. You get to work and your boss yells at you. Those are all going to create that fight or flight response, even though you're not physically in a physically dangerous situation. That's still going to create that chronic stress. So more and more I see people in that chronic fight or flight stressful situation. And by the way, other things that can cause our body to go in that fight or flight are not just emotional responses, but toxins and physical trauma and things like that. So we want to support our bodies, and the HPA axis is definitely one of the biggest ways that can get affected from chronic stress. So we want to make sure we're supporting this, and there are many ways that we can support this. There's a few other reasons why the HPA axis could be affected. It could be affected by that emotional stress I talked about, toxins, as well as inflammation or gut health, or maybe your sleep cycle is off. Also, blood sugar irregularities, skipping meals, eating irregularly. All of these things can affect your HPA axis and eventually drive your body into dysregulation of that HPA axis. And that is what a lot of people often refer to as adrenal fatigue. But really, adrenal fatigue, yes, you could say it's a thing, sure, but really it's about that HPA axis and that whole line of glands and organs that are affected. Now, if that HPA axis is affected, the endocrine glands all work together. If you have an issue with your hypothalamus or your pituitary gland, it could definitely affect your thyroid. It can definitely affect your sex hormones. It can definitely affect all these other glands. So you want to make sure that your endocrine system is working well and it's healthy and functioning at its best. And the HPA axis is definitely an important factor in that. Some other studies that I wanted to share with you that I thought you might find interesting is there was a study done that showed that people who had PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, actually had a change in shape in their pituitary gland. So if that change in shape occurs, there's going to definitely be some functionality issues with the HPA axis. There was other studies showing that there are some skin conditions that are associated with the HPA axis. HPA axis, It has so much to do with everything: your gut, your digestive tract, other glands such as thyroid and pancreas and blood sugar, and your adrenals. It tells your adrenals what to do as well. So, what are some ways in which we can support our HPA axis to help us not get those symptoms anymore, feeling tired all the time, or maybe you're feeling wired all the time? All of those things can have to do with, sure, your adrenals, but remember that bigger picture of the HPA axis. So, what are some ways in which you can support your body, support this delicately intertwined HPA axis so it's working properly and we can have energy and we can feel good? We can be able to handle stress better, not be so irritable, not collapse so easily around stress, but take stress head on and be able to be creative about our solutions and not let stress take us over. So the first thing is sleep. Sleep is so important, making sure you get 7 to 9 hours of sleep every single day, whether it means you have to go to bed earlier or you have to somehow rearrange your schedule to try to get more sleep. But sleep is so important to make sure that all of those hormones are being released at the proper time and are functioning the way they're supposed to. Cleaning up your diet. Cleaning up your diet can be really important, especially sugars. If you're eating a lot of candy or sugars, that is going to act as a stimulant in your body and it mimics the stress response. Same thing goes with caffeine. So caffeine and sugar, they mimic that stress response and they can put your body into that fight or flight and put irregularities in that HPA axis. So make sure you clean up your diet. If you want to learn more about how to go plant-based, there is a video that you can check out that I did about how to go plant-based. There is an episode that you can check out that I did about how to go plant-based, and that will give you some good starters on nutrition. But cutting out sugar, especially processed sugars, candy, and sodas, that's going to really help to get your body more on a regular system and be able to regulate itself. Another one, develop ways in which you can handle stress better. So there are tools to help us be more resourceful in the moment. And you can check out the video about the vagus nerve that has a lot of great tips, as well as have a course now you can check out, how to ground yourself even as the world falls apart. Basically 10 steps to help you stay sane and happy and handle stress better from a more resourceful place. But whatever it is for you, the technique that you use to handle stress, do that and be able to come from a more resourceful place when stress happens. Next one is sun. Try to get sun every single day, not just for the vitamin D, which is very important as well, but also for your sleep-wake cycle. It's so important to get that sun contact with your eyes, not direct sunlight, but just sunlight hitting your eyes, because it has a great effect on your sleep-wake cycles, which has an effect on your HPA axis. Now, I know a lot of people live in places where they don't see the sun for months out of the year, and I know that can be really hard on some people. I highly recommend that you check out Lux lights. So Lux lights are actually lights that mimic the sunlight exposure to your eyes that you would normally get if you went outside on a sunny day. And it helps you to regulate that sleep-wake cycle, as well as help with seasonal affective disorder and things like that. So check out Lux lights. They're awesome. You can put it on for 20-30 minutes a day. You can have one sitting at your desk, and that is going to do you a lot of good. So let's talk about nutrition now. Nutrition, specifically some herbs that I'm going to share with you, can really help make a difference on the HPA axis. There are different types of herbs. There's adaptogens. Adaptogens is a classification of herbs that can help to restore function and help to heal the nervous system and the adrenal glands and the HPA axis and really help you to handle that stress response. And then there's herbs that help to tone the body and help to restore the body as well. So the first one, and of course make sure if you're having any medications or you're taking anything right now, always check with whoever your healthcare professional is about possible interactions or things like that. But ashwagandha is amazing. Ashwagandha, when you take ashwagandha, it helps to go where the body needs it the most and helps to restore that part of the body, specifically the adrenal glands and the HPA axis. So it helps to regulate the immune function as well as regulate cortisol. So it's a great herb. I highly recommend it. The next one is Korean ginseng, also known as red ginseng. Now this tones the body as well as acts as an adaptogen. It basically helps to regulate those hormones that are produced within the HPA axis, which helps with adrenal fatigue and feeling tired and those cravings and all the things that we talked about. Korean ginseng is wonderful. It also has a great effect on depression and anxiety. There was a study done that was about how stress can have an effect on the human body and really be a factor in a lot of different diseases. And daily intake of ginseng basically helped to have preventative and therapeutic effects on several different chronic diseases such as osteoporosis, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, erectile dysfunction, and allergic asthma. And I'll post the study in the description because it really was a great study. But ginseng can really help your body to restore normal function on so many levels. And an herb that is great and works really well with ginseng, if you want to pair these two together, is rhodiola, and that works as a great tonifying herb and adaptogen as well. Just be aware that ginseng can have a little bit of a stimulating effect, so make sure that you are taking that in the morning so that you're not wired at night. There's also Schisandra, which is a little bit less stimulating than that ginseng. And then there's Siberian ginseng, also known as Eleuthero, which actually helps with insomnia and it can help you sleep and give that calming effect. So these herbs can be really helpful when working with the HPA axis and trying to heal your own body. And then, of course, there's other things such as vitamin C to help with your immune system, which can definitely be altered if you're in this high stress state. Fatty acids such as omega-3s, which you can get from flaxseed oil, those are always really beneficial to your brain health and making sure that everything is working properly. And body work is really also important as well. Chiropractic can help to regulate that nervous system, as well as doing yoga and different stress lowering techniques. So just do your self-care. Make sure that you are taking care of yourself. You're taking breaks when you can. And sometimes it's impossible. Sometimes it's really hard to be able to take breaks, especially if you're a parent or a business owner or something like that. Sometimes we forget to take care of ourselves first as well. So make sure you have a good self-care routine. But these herbs can really support you as well. And you can actually get your cortisol levels tested and your hormones tested. There are actually tests that are done that can show you how your adrenals are functioning, how the HPA axis is functioning, and give you a better idea and insight on what that looks like. Talk to your healthcare professional about that, or come to me. I can help you with that as well. And that brings us to our challenge of the week. This week's challenge is to really nail down your self-care routine. How can you just, even if it's one thing a day, and that one thing can be 30 seconds or a minute, how can you take care of yourself better to really offset any type of stress going on in your life? Maybe it's take 30 seconds to a minute and do some deep breathing. Maybe it's taking a bath. That's my favorite way of self-care, taking Epsom salt baths. Or maybe it's doing affirmations or 5-10 minutes of meditation. Whatever it is for you that helps you to feel rejuvenated and renewed, do that. That is going to have so much good for your body, not just adrenal fatigue and HPA axis, but it's going to have so much good for your entire body, put you more in that rest and digest versus that fight or flight. I can't stress enough how important just having some type of self-care routine can be. So let me know how that goes. #EYH challenge. I would love to hear about what you're doing for your self-care routine. And again, you can find more about myself and what I do and how I can help you reach your goals at drmichellegreen.com or find me on all social media platforms at Dr. Michelle Green. I so appreciate you tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe, review if you enjoyed this. Feel free to share this with anyone that you think this information could possibly help them. And if there are any topics that you want to hear about, I would love to know. Let me know. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. It's time to enhance your health.